This conference will now be recorded.
Well, hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla and I'm so glad that you're here with me on this morning. And my goal today is to talk about some mental health related issues and hopefully start to end the stigma surrounding them. So we are still in the month of May and we're still celebrating Mental Health Awareness Month. I freshened up the green in the hair so it's looking more bright and less pastel-y. And I have my therapy shirt on, the way I love my therapy shirt. A shout out to Message in a Bottle, great small business owned by some incredible Black women. And so I love all their t-shirts. I don't normally do commercials, but they definitely have some good t-shirts, and I love my t-shirts with sayings. And that kind of leads us a little bit into what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about creating a coping toolbox. And so sometimes we could have a physical box like this, which definitely works. And then there's other ways of putting things around you that will help. I love wearing my t-shirts that have different sayings that inspire me to kind of keep me motivated. You can have different things around your home to get you motivated as well, and to remind you that it's okay not to be okay, right? So one of those things would be to wear like wristbands. So this is from A Sip of Hope up on the north side, another really great place. They donate their profits to suicide prevention, but it's awesome that you can just wear this and remind yourself every day it's okay not to be okay. And while that might be the case for today, it's also a reminder that tomorrow can be a different day. So the article from our media kit that we're going to go to is our like what to do and how to make a coping toolbox. And I think it's important that as you think about what you're going to put in here, that you consider like what in here means. I'm going to start emptying this out so that I can show you some of the stuff. But it's interesting because some people want a virtual toolbox, which works. I'm a person who likes to touch things, so that doesn't work too well for me. I think that there's a point where you got to be careful on how you organize it, but here's a beautiful box. It's got a lid and everything. And what I think is most important about boxes like this is it can be very unassuming. Let me get my lid off here. Be very unassuming, and you can just have it set off to the side. But if you forget what this is, that's not good. I personally would like bedazzle it with some jewels and put some, decoupage stuff, like with maybe some different beautiful word sayings on there, so that when I see it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. I love my words, right? So this is a pretty large size box. It doesn't have to be that large, but it just all depends on what you want to put in there. So the article references a couple different things, but I feel like they've got a good start for some of those. And I liked how they broke it up into different categories, but I think they fell short on the possibilities of things that can go in there. So I am going to start with the world of adult coloring books, right? So I do believe we've gone to the Dollar Tree and found some of these. So like they don't have to be expensive. But what I like about like this particular one, look, there's not only can you color it, but then there's a saying, don't stress, do your best, forget the rest, right? And so you could color in that, remind yourself of whatever that saying is, and you could always pull it out and because it's perforated, and you can post it on your refrigerator like when you were a kid. Like there's all sorts of really cool things. And look, it fits right in the box. This one's a little bit different. I feel like this one is more like wallpaper, right? So that's kind of cool. And they're fronts and backs of these, so maybe not so much to be put on your refrigerator, but boy, the intricate lines and details. It's hard to fret over something when you're spending that much time noticing details. Let me see if I can see where that someone started to color, you know. All right, so this book is kind of cool. This one was kind of cool. So this is, and I hadn't seen this one before, but what was cool about this is that they have the actual image here of something from the garden, and then here's the color version of it, meaning that you can color it in. And as you can see, somebody started to do that with that. You know, you can see that's here, right? And I'm trying to see if there's another one that's been colored or not. But these are really, but I mean, first of all, I absolutely love the kind of sepia vintageness of them. So that's kind of cool. And then this is another one that I thought was kind of interesting, Moments of Mindfulness. What I liked about this is like, yeah, there's pages like this, right? But then there's also pages that look like this, right? And then the one side says, try embroidery. Mindfully sew onto a piece of fabric. Notice the sound the thread makes as your needle pierces the fabric. You can experiment with different colored threads or stitching techniques to create different textures. Why not adorn a handkerchief, an old shirt, or a canvas shopping bag? And then tell you what materials you need. And then here are some embroidery ideas for you to try, right? Now, okay, don't embroidery. It doesn't matter. But we're talking about coping toolbox. We're talking about finding things to feed your soul and to help you manage all those really strong emotions. So this is kind of an interesting one all to itself. And then if we're going to be coloring, of course, we need to have our pencils, markers, crayons, right? We've got this beautiful watercolor book. And if you're not familiar with watercolor books, the paper is extra thick so that when you're using watercolor on it, it doesn't fall to pieces. Okay, so that's also something cool. Watercolors are fun to use as well. And then if you kind of go off that, and I think sometimes always having a snack tossed in there doesn't hurt. And then you guys start thinking about all the other sensory stuff. So, for instance, got lovely lotion, you know, with a scent that you enjoy. Definitely put that in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be this big of a bottle, but the idea is that you can have something in there to help with that. You know, essential oils. This is a fun spray. This one says "Be Brave," right? So, okay, maybe we're gonna do a little spritz in here. Oh, it's got all my favorite smells in it. Let's see what else we got in here. More essential oils. So now with the essential oils, you can just have like a regular oil bottle, but these are roll-ons. So you can put them on your wrist, rub them together. And they smell so good. Okay, this one actually says Motivate. I love this little pouch that I found. It says Hang in There. Again, another good reminder. And this one I keep some index cards, and I keep Post-its and a pen, and this is for me just to jot different things down. I think that it would be perfectly reasonable to throw a journal in here if you wanted to. However, I suspect that the journal wouldn't be used nearly as much if it was in here as opposed to maybe next to your bedside, but this isn't a good idea. And then, oh man, this was years ago. We made these self-care jars. And what's nice about these is that you open it up, you can pull one out, and then you get an idea. And it says, smile at yourself in the mirror. Or this one says, watch the sunrise or sunset with your favorite drink, right? And so here are some ideas that you can just do on the spur of the moment. Nothing really is, you know, difficult to pull off. But they have a jar like this in here. Now we found a sheet on Google somewhere. I can't remember exactly where we found it. And we cut out the strips because they were already made. But there's no reason why you can't take that and then add a bunch of other ones that you really like to do that, you know, take a bubble bath. I don't know what's all in here anymore, but, you know, maybe it's you know, spend 5 minutes in child's pose, or whatever the case may be. But you can add all sorts of good things to this jar. Candles. What's cool about this candle is that this one's eucalyptus and mint, and they called it self-care. So to me, even if you don't want to burn the candle, oh my gosh, that smells so good. Awesome way to help yourself when you are feeling overwhelmed. Let's see. Okay. Along with my wristband, a little card in there to remind me that it's okay not to be okay. And what I love about this card is on the back, there's all sorts of hotlines and warn lines that you can call. So National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, National Sexual Assault Trans Lifeline, Crisis Text Line. There's a line for veterans, the Trevor Project for the LGBTQ youth, substance use and mental health services, right? So this is a really, you know, so maybe you don't have this card. Maybe you're not going to go all the way up to ℂ𝕆𝔼𝔼 and Fullerton to go to Sip for Hope, which, by the way, they have great coffee. But maybe then you put together a bunch of crisis numbers that are relevant to you, so that if things are really bad, you can pull those out. And then I would even go so far as to tape them to the lid, the inside lid, you know, so that it doesn't get lost in the bottom of this, because you can see mine's already filling up pretty good. Okay. And then we got squishies. So this is a dog treat, but what I love about this is the texture. It's very, you know, it's very prickly. And so sometimes when you need to get grounded, when things are going really bad, you need an altering texture. And I think it would probably crack you up if you accidentally squeezed it like that. We know the world of poppets. I love this guy. I remember when we got him, it was No Drama Llama. Then we've got, this is another toy. I think it's a cat toy. But what I loved about this is, first of all, it's super soft. And then I don't know if you can hear the crunchy, crunchy, crunchy. And again, it's the textures and sounds that make this so interesting, right? Other squishies, right? Again, I hit the Dollar Tree or any other really cheap place because I want those things. So this is fun to play with, nice textures, things of that nature. We all know the stress balls, right? This guy's fun because he's full of water and he just smushes all over the place. Oh, and then these little squishy things. Now this is one of the bigger ones, but I do know you can get 2 in a pack. If they're smaller or they're bigger, like this big fat guy, then that's cool. This little knob, he's fun because there's all sorts of different things in here that you can just press and play with, and you can just kind of hold it in your hand and just mess around with it. So even if you're at work and you need to calm down or to kind of get yourself grounded, you can play around with that. I crocheted a bunch of worry worms, so I would put something like that in there, and he's really fun to touch. And then we get to some other fun things like, so this is really just like scrub your scalp. But again, if you're talking about getting grounded and you want to get some, you know, use your senses to get grounded, you can do this in your head, which, by the way, I just sit here, no, I won't. And then you can put it on your arms. Again, it's all these different things, the textures to help you out. This is another little massager. So head, you do your arm, right, out across. These are all things to help ease the tension, right? Oh, can't go wrong with the fidget spinner. What I like about these suckers is that when you spin it and then you start moving your hand back and forth like that, you can feel the weight move. So those are fun. A lot of times when I go to expos and stuff like that, people have these, and then you can curl them up, right? And they're not easy to do, so you got to put some effort into it, and that helps with grounding. I don't know if you remember Silly Putty from when you were a kid. We used to get this, and then we would make it super flat, and then we'd press it onto the comic strips, especially the colored ones, right? And then we'd get images on it, but you don't need to do that. You could just get this and just play with it, okay? Again, it takes some effort to do it, and it helps to relieve the stress. And again, if we're trying to cope with something that's difficult, it really helps, and it also helps us to be more grounded and present with what's going on. Because if I'm pressing that hard on that, I can't be spacing out about other things. So it makes me pay attention to what's happening right here in this moment in the room. All right. We like making kindness rocks around here. So maybe I would have a rock in here to remind me. This also can go up, on your desk or whatever. And then there's different decks of cards that we've found over the years. So like this one's about awareness, and it talks about, take a mundane task, complete it with mindful intention, right? And it talks about, noticing, what do you hear? What do you smell? What do you see, right? So for example, if you choose brushing your teeth as the task, notice the sensation of the toothbrush on your gums, the refreshing taste of the toothpaste, etc. So those are fun to pull out, much like the self-care jars, right? And then this is a kindness one. And so this one says, smile and the world smiles with you. Make a conscious note to smile at those you interact with today. Notice how it makes you feel and how they respond, right? So even though you're having a hard time, this idea of extending yourself and being kind really goes a long way. You can buy different decks of cards that help with like different ideas for stressing less. And then if you go on Google, you can find all sorts of breathing techniques. Smell the flower, blow out the candle. So smell the flower, blow out the candle. That's my grandson's favorite. Then we've got this one, and I laminate them because we're going to use them over and over again. Don't want to have them destroyed. So the heartbeat exercise, it talks about for a child, but this works for adults. Run in place for a minute, and then just put your hand on your heart and notice your heart and feel the heartbeat until it subsides and goes back to normal. Butterfly hugs, my favorite. They talk about doing like this. I like to hook my thumbs and hook it, right? And then rainbow breathing, right? So then you start at the red and you go in and out. Then you go for the yellow, in and out. And kids will actually even go to the floor and up, right? So you get full notice. Oh, look, I could get all that stuff in here and even have room to put the lid on. And so whatever's in a box like this for you matters because, well, what matters is that it makes sense to you, right? And it's for you, it's a playlist taped to the cover so that it reminds you of the playlist of music that gets you excited. Then you put the playlist in there, right? And I can imagine all sorts of things taped to the front of here just so that it doesn't get lost in this big box. But look, the box is all put away. All that stuff is nice and neat, and you can't put it on a shelf in a closet because then you won't remember where it is. Okay? So how do you get started? Maybe there's only one thing in your box. That's fine. Or the way I initially started was that I got one of these little pouches, right? And I put 3 or 4 items in here because even though I have my Post-it notes in my pen and stuff like that, there's enough room for me to throw in, say, some silly putty and, my fidget spinner and my squishy guy. And, let's see, what else can we throw in there? Maybe we're going to throw in, some essential oils. And look, it's all in there. It's still only taking up this much. And maybe this has to come with you, right? Maybe this goes into your purse. And you could take any one of these, self-care cards that I was talking about. You could throw those in there. But, if you're like most people, most women, I should say, you could throw this in your purse. If you're a guy, okay, maybe you don't want pink, but I'm sure they got some other ones that are kind of cool. And you pack it up and you throw it in your briefcase or in your backpack, right? So that you always have it with you. So hopefully you're inspired to make your own coping toolbox. Around here, we've called them calm down boxes, but it doesn't really matter what you want to call it. What it is a box full of fun ways to get yourself grounded and more present in the here and now and help you deal with those really, really strong emotions. So until next time, guys, remember you can change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So next time I'll see you, and hopefully by then you'll continue to work on being the best you possible. Bye now.